So to begin, let's come onto our mat and come onto our hands and knees. And start to organize the body by placing your shoulders directly over your wrists and your hips directly over your knees. Pushing down strongly into the mat with the tops of your feet. And just take a neutral spine as you start to intensify the breath a little bit in and out through the nose. Creating this consistent rhythmic breath. And maybe moving into your ujjayi breath. Slight constriction at the back of your throat, eventually making your breath audible. And in this practice, we're going to work to create more movement and energy throughout the body and really work at healing the spine through this various technique and different movements in the body. So with your next inhale, we're going to move into cat-cow. So inhale, arch the spine, bringing your gaze up. And then exhale, curl through the spine, just like a cat, moving your gaze towards your belly button. And then keep moving with your breath. Inhale, bringing your gaze up, arching through the spine. And then exhale, curl through the spine the opposite direction. And I want you to keep moving with your breath. And as you create more heat in the spine, you can start to speed it up. So taking a pace that you can maintain for the next few minutes here. Just resting into this movement, allowing the breath to guide you. Good. Watching for any areas where you might feel a little stiffness or a little stuck. Just making note of them and start to really send your energy and your breath there. Good. Let's take 2 more before returning back to a neutral spine. And then take a full inhale here. And a full exhale through your mouth. And then let's move on to our feet. So coming into a low squat, your toes can be slightly apart and your heels come together if possible. Again, we're going to start to move with the energy of the breath. So on your inhale, you're going to straighten your legs, bring your gaze towards your belly button. And then exhale, bend through the legs again. Coming down to your squat. Inhale, straighten through the legs. Gaze comes towards your belly button. And exhale, bend your knees coming into a squat. And again, move with your breath and at your own pace. So eventually we want this exercise or technique to move quite quickly so that we are intensifying the energy and just really setting the tone for your practice. Good. And then let's take 3 more here. And after your last one, you can just straighten your legs and fold forward, catching on to opposite elbow, letting the neck release down, maybe swaying from side to side. Just allowing the spine to reset as you fold forward here. And the most important part is just to settle back into the natural rhythm of your breath, but keep it consistent in and out through the nose. Just starting to guide your awareness deeper into the body. Let's release the arms here and start to roll up through the spine, nice and slow, paying attention to how the vertebrae come back into place. Standing up nice and tall, shoulders draping down your back. And coming to stand at the top of your mat, let's close our eyes here for a few breaths and bring your hands in front of heart center. And let's set an intention for our practice today. Allowing this intention to be what guides you and motivates you through your practice and keeps bringing you back to that central point. And with that intention in mind, let's open the eyes, release the arms by your side. Inhale, let's bring your arms up, palms touch as your gaze comes up, lengthening here. And exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine. Exhale, jumper step back into high plank. You can lower your knees if you need to, lowering Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Just pausing here in downward facing dog. Taking the body where it needs to, so it might need a little more movement today, maybe bending through the knees, maybe swaying through the hips a little bit, And then after you've created that movement, come back into a stationary position, really grounding through your hands, spreading your fingers nice and wide and curling your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Let's guide our eyes forward. Jumper step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, let's rise all the way up. Palms touch as your gaze comes up. And then release your arms by your side into Samastitihi. Good, let's do another one. Inhale, let's come up with the arms, lengthening up and out of the body as you reach. And exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine, reaching the crown of the head forward. And exhale, jumper step back into high plank. Shoulders over your wrists as you lower. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhaling into upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And once again, pausing here, settling into the posture, and just start to examine it on a bit of a deeper level. So understanding what happens to the body when we bring a slight bend into the knees. Maybe there's more space in through the spine, and really helps you to curl the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Really working your shoulders away from your ears, finding extension and space in this area of the body. Let's guide our eyes forward. Jumper step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, let's rise all the way up, nice and strong through the legs as your gaze comes up. And then exhale your arms by your side into Samastitihi. Okay, let's do one more. Inhale, come up with the arms. And exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine. Exhale, jumper step back into high plank. Let's lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good, breathing into the body. Finding lots of pressure down into the feet here, ensuring that the weight is even between the outer and the inner edge of the foot so that we're finding that central strength point. And then from there, follow that strength all the way up through your legs, pulling up on the kneecaps, and then organizing the pelvis, eventually extending out through the crown of the head, all the way up through the spine. And let's bring our gaze forward. Jumper step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, let's rise all the way up. Palms touch as your gaze comes up. And then exhale your arms by your side into Samastitihi. And staying at the top of your mat, let's take a step back with our right foot, pivoting on the toes, right toes pointing towards the back of the room, left angled towards the side wall. Let's inhale our arms up parallel with the mat, and your legs stay straight as you move into Utthita Trikonasana or side triangle. Right hand is going to come onto your shin, top of your foot, or to the inside edge of your right foot. And you can use a block here too if you need a little more space, especially if it helps you create length in the right side of the body. Your left arm is reaching up towards the ceiling. And if it's okay with the neck, your gaze comes up towards your left fingertips. And then allow that deep rhythmic breath to guide your posture to the position and the adjustments that need to happen into the body. We always establish the foundation with our feet first, and then guide that foundation all the way up. And let's bend into that right knee. Your right elbow can either land onto your right knee or fingertips to the inside edge of that right foot. Left arm is going to come across your ear, reaching towards the back of the room. And just make sure that that front knee is stacked directly over your ankle. And with the pressure down into that right foot, extend your awareness back into that left foot. Again, ensuring that you're engaging through the inner line of that left leg. Really seal the outer edge of that left foot. And taking a couple more breaths here. Constantly guiding your awareness back into your practice if your mind is wandering. And then inhale, let's straighten that right leg. Let's rise up with the torso, and then we'll pivot on the toes, moving into Utthita Trikonasana now on the left. So left toes towards the front of the room, your back toes angle towards the side, and then when you're ready, move into the posture. Left hand onto your shin, top of your foot, or inside edge of your left foot. And this month we're looking for lots of extension and support through the sides of the body. So the inside line is connecting from your thumb, moves through the inside line of the body all the way down into your big toes. And then that outside line, or the counterbalance, is from your pinky toe, runs all the way up to the outside of the body into your pinky finger. Starting to pull the entire body into your practice and engaging all aspects of our system. And let's bend into that left knee, same posture here. Left elbow onto your left knee, right arm across your ear, or dropping your left hand down to the inside edge of that left foot. And it's your job and your commitment here to start to align the body through the breath. So understanding that we're looking to create length and space in the body so that it can properly reorganize and set itself back properly in position so that we can start to function at our highest level. And really find your feet. Inhale, let's straighten that front leg, rising all the way up with the torso, and come to stand at the top of your mat into Samastitihi. Good. Once again, let's take a step back with our right foot, coming into Parivrtta Trikonasana now. So we're squaring our feet and our hips to the back of the room. And play with the placement of that back foot. So a lot of us will need to step it in closer to the right foot and then a little bit wider so that our stance is nice and steady. Let's place our right hand onto our sacrum, left arm up towards the ceiling, and then let's take our left hand to the outer edge of your right foot or onto a block if this is too deep in the body. And just really start to watch how the pelvis is sitting. So most of us will need to pull that right hip back, left hip forward. And then once we have that placement of the pelvis, keep grounding down into your feet so that you can find the extension through the torso and maybe twist a little bit deeper into the chest. And for the last few breaths, just steady the body and feel the sensations from the posture. And let's drop both hands down onto either side of your right foot, stepping your left foot back now, and let's lift your back heel up so it's stacked directly over your toes. And then coming up with the hands, bringing them in front of prayer in your chest, and cross your left elbow onto your right knee. So you're more than welcome to stay here, especially if this feels good into the body. If the space is there to add on, you're going to drop your left heel so that your foot is grounding strongly down into the mat. And then possibly opening up through the arms here. I talk about this a lot, but I'm not so concerned with how deep you come into the posture. I would rather have the proper alignment in the body and a free flow of breath through the entire system than coming so deep into the practice that you start to lose your breath and that the body pops out of position. Good. And if you haven't dropped your back heel already, let's drop it as we rise all the way up. We're going to pivot on the toes, now facing the front of the room, squaring your toes and your hips to the front now. Again, establish the foundation through your feet, making sure that you're nice and steady. Left hand onto your sacrum. Let's reach our right arm up towards the ceiling and move into our twist. Right hand onto your shin or outer edge of that left foot or a block. Just becoming conscious of the breath here. Watching how it shifts and changes if a posture is particularly hard for you. And then just understanding the control that you can have on it just by placing a little more awareness back there. And let's bring both hands onto either side of that left foot, stepping your right foot back into a low lunge with your heel lifted. And then let's come up with the arms into prayer, crossing your right elbow onto your left knee. Taking the same posture here as you did on the other side. Moving into that same expression. It may feel different, but we're working to create synergy and balance between both sides eventually in our practice. Get a little stronger with the breath. And then send that strength into the legs to hold the foundation for the last few breaths. Good, and to release, let's drop our back heel if it hasn't dropped already. Let's rise all the way up with the arms and come to stand at the top of your mat into Samastitihi. Let's take a full inhale here and a full exhale out. Okay, and let's find both feet, even weight into each of them and hands onto your hips to start. And let's begin by bringing our right knee up. Right hand comes onto your knee or outer edge of your right foot, possibly finding that extension, and then we're going to start to send our leg or our knee wide out to the side for variation B. And the strength has to really come from that left leg as you start to curl the sit bones under on that right hip, lifting up and out of the pelvis by pulling up on the pelvic floor and drawing your belly button towards your spine as the crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. Everything working together to find a little more space and length in the body. Let's guide our leg back through center. Then you're going to take your left hand onto your right knee or outer edge of your right foot and coming into our twist. Right hand eventually reaches behind you and your gaze come back over your right fingertips. And same here, that right hip is going to want to pop out and wide. You want to curl it right underneath you without collapsing down to that left standing leg. So maybe a slight bend into that left knee is fine, especially if it helps you lift up and out of the pelvis. Okay, guiding our eyes back through center. Let's bring our hands onto our hips, keeping that right leg lifted for 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Right foot comes down to meet your left. And then let's switch sides. First, establishing your right foot grounding strongly and evenly into the mat. And then come on up with that left knee. Catching onto the knee or the outer edge of your foot as you extend it out and then move it out wide. Taking the same adjustments here into the body. And then simply breathe. And then let's guide that leg back through center. Switching hands now. Right hand onto your left knee or outer edge of your foot. Coming into your full twist. If the body allows, left hand reaches behind you. Your gaze comes past your left fingertips. Directing the breath into the body. Watching it expand and contract with every inhale and exhale. Good, and let's guide our eyes back through center, keeping that left leg lifted, hands onto your hips for 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Releasing your left foot to meet your right. Standing at the top of your mat, let's take a full inhale here and a full cleansing exhale out. And we'll take a vinyasa. Inhale, let's come up with the arms, lengthen and reach here. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, jumper step back into high plank. We'll lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And right away, bringing your gaze forward, let's jump all the way through onto our seat, extending your legs out in front of you for a forward seated fold. And for some of us, this forward fold, keeping our legs straight, just requires that our hands come back behind us, helping us to sit up nice and tall and rolling forward here on the pelvis. And then if you can keep this same length and structure through the spine, you can start to walk your hands forward, moving into the depth of the posture. Your gaze can come past your toes or towards your belly button. And then wherever you land, come back into your breath as it does its work to start to unwind the tissue of the body. And with this unwinding comes space and potential to recreate. And then let's sit up nice and tall. Keep your left leg where it is, but we're going to bend our right knee, crossing it over top of your left leg. Your foot is flat onto the mat, and we're going to move into a twist. So first option, wrap your left arm around your right leg. Right fingertips come behind you. Sitting up nice and tall, grounding through your sit bones first, and then you can start to move into your twist, bringing your gaze back over your right shoulder. If you have a little more space, you can hook your left elbow on the outside edge of that right knee, or come into the full bind as we're doing here in the video. Keep extending through the crown of the head as you ground down to whatever's touching the mat. And these opposing forces will start to really create healing potential in the spine. Let's move our gaze back through center. And we'll switch sides. So straighten that right leg, bending the left knee, crossing it over top of the right. And then take the same variation here as you did on the other side. There, hooking the elbow, wrapping your arm around, or coming into your full bind. And settling into the idea and the rhythm of the breath, that expansion and contraction. So with the inhale, expanding to the outer edges of the body and really feeling the sensation of this expansion. And then allow the exhales to guide your awareness back into the center point that really grounds you down. And let's come back through center, straightening your legs. And then let's come to lie flat onto our back. We're going to take 2 back bends here, coming into the variation that is best for you. So I'll walk you through the stages, stopping where is best. So your knees are coming up towards the ceiling, feet flat onto the mat. You should be able to graze your heels with your fingertips. And then placing your arms back by your side. Inhale, let's lift our pelvis up towards the ceiling. You can stay here or bring your hands onto your lower back, walking your elbows underneath you to find a little more extension up through the spine. Step 3 is to bring your hands beside your ears, fingertips pointing towards your heels. Then we'll push onto the crown of the head and then possibly up into your full wheel. Once in your full wheel, try to even the weight between your feet and your hands and ensure that you're not clenching too tightly through the glutes. Starting to extend the awareness from the lower spine all the way to the upper spine. Good. And for some of you, you can come just down onto the crown of the head, taking a breath here and come all the way back up. Or you can take a break coming flat onto your back and then join us when you're ready. So we're working to create strength by this fluid motion. Now holding your back bend for 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Tucking your chin. Come to lie flat onto your back. Working your knees in towards your chest. Giving them a really good squeeze, starting to release through that lower spine. And then let's rock back and forth on the spine, bringing ourselves back onto our seat. And then forward onto our hands and knees for our headstand or headstand prep, Shirshasana. So coming down onto your forearms, keeping your elbows quite close together. You're going to interlace your hands or your fingers and keep your palms nice and wide. Now the crown of the head is coming down onto the mat and you're supporting the back of the head with your hands. You can tuck your toes, straightening your legs like downward facing dog. And then ideally we're starting to walk our toes towards our face until our hips are directly over our shoulders. And then from this place, some of you can come up into your full headstand. Or if you're just working the prep posture, you're going to lift one leg. Take a few breaths with that, lower, and then lift the other. There's absolutely no rush to come into this posture. And I actually really prefer that you don't jump up into it, but that you actually set the proper foundation and strength. And you'll know you're there when you become so light in your toes that they literally float up off the mat. And then the strength will be there to guide your feet all the way up, stacking the body here. And if you are working your full headstand, I want you to keep grounding your forearms down into the mat so that you're finding a lift off the crown of the head. So there's a little space between the crown of the head and the mat. Then allow the strength of your breath to guide your legs all the way back down onto the mat, resting into child's posture. And in child's posture, we can rest our forehead down onto the mat. Arms out in front of you or by your side, and just soften the breath as you start to drape over your knees and soften through the spine. Just taking a moment here to drop back into your intention. And just really working on holding this intention and the rhythm of your breath for the remainder of your practice. And you can start to roll up through the spine. Sit up nice and tall. Let's send our feet off to the side, and we're going to move into Navasana or boat posture. So again, few options here. Your arms are going to come by your side. Your knees are bent to start, and your feet are just gently touching the mat. Posture is to straighten your legs. Now you can remain here using your regular consistent breath, or if you know breath of fire, which is a little bit of a more forceful breath in and out through the nose, you can work with that breath here. So this is a really strong and really dedicated practice, and especially this posture coupled with the breath of fire. So seeing if you can hold here for a few more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Let's come to lie flat onto our back. We'll move into shoulder stand. So bringing our legs straight up towards the ceiling. If you need to, you can place a block underneath your sit bones and take more of a restorative posture here. Just legs straight up, placing the block under your sit bones. Or if you're moving into full shoulder stand, you're placing your hands onto your lower back, lifting your legs straight up. Keep walking your hands down your back, and then start to bring your feet a little more towards the front of the room so that you're creating this beautiful alignment through the spine. Keep breathing here. And then you can drop your toes behind your head for Halasana. Always feel free to bend your knees, bringing them onto your forehead. Whatever feels good for your body in this compression posture. Understanding that there's always space to explore, no matter how tight things feel. So maybe it's a slight adjustment, moving your pelvis up towards the ceiling, or gently shifting your shoulders away from your ears and extending through the crown of your head. Just noticing how the body responds now to this extra space that you found. And then very gently, let's start to roll down through the spine. Coming down vertebrae by vertebrae onto the mat. Rolling the body out into your final resting posture. And in Shavasana, we want to soften the body as much as possible, and we can guide our body to this place through a soft breath, keeping it soft but intentional as we move a little bit deeper here. You can slowly start to bring your awareness back, deepening your breath. Keeping your eyes closed as you start to transition the body, bringing your knees in towards your chest. Eventually rolling onto the right side of the body for a moment here, before gently making your way up to a comfortable seated position at the top of your mat. Maybe sitting up on a blanket or a block, just ensuring that you can create a nice erect spine here. Organizing the spine, softening the shoulders down your back, and just start to bring more awareness into your natural breath, in and out through the nose. Starting to pay attention to the intricacies and the healing power of the breath, just by bringing more awareness there. Then for our pranayama this class, we are going to work with the supernatural breath. So on this breath, the breath is in and out through the nose, but on your inhale, you're going to start to pull up on the pelvic floor, and then you're going to pull your lower abs towards your spine, so they're hugging in nice and tight, and then you're also clenching through your upper abs. So we're working on pulling up on these lower three centers as we inhale, pulling the breath all the way up the spine to the crown of the head. And when you reach the crown of the head, you're holding your breath at the peak for about a count of 3 or 5. And then you can gently exhale and release out through the body. So I'll walk you through this breath a few times, and then you can do a few on your own. So with your eyes closed, let's start to inhale, pulling up on the lower 3 centers, pelvic floor, lower abs, upper abs. Draw your inhale all the way up through to the spine. Finally resting at the crown of the head, where you're hold at the peak of your inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and release the breath, relaxing through the lower 3 centers. Taking a few natural inhales and exhales. Just paying close attention to the subtle sensations of your breath. And we'll move into our second set. So as you start to inhale now, let's pull up on your 3 lower centers, hugging them in nice and tight, drawing the breath all the way up the spine. At the peak of your inhale, let's hold it, keeping your awareness on the crown of the head for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then gently let's release. Taking a few natural inhales and exhales, just reestablishing the connection to your breath. And then I want you to take 3 more full rounds on your own at your own pace. And as you start to expand into this breath, you can hold at the peak of your breath for a little bit longer than that count of 4. And you want to envision that you are pulling your breath up the spine, just like you would be pulling fluid up a straw. And ultimately that awareness needs to stay at the crown of the head, because where our awareness goes, that's where our energy flows. And this starts to be a super clearing and energetic breath for the brain. So you should be moving into your last set now. And then let's move into your natural breath with your eyes closed. And as you settle into the natural rhythm of your breath, just allow it to guide you back into that place where you last left off your last meditation. So moving right into this space, drawing your awareness into that central point. Every time your mind starts to wander, you simply draw it back into this point and keep your awareness on the fluidity and flow of your breath. Starting to deepen the breath. Slowly bringing your awareness back, but keeping the eyes closed. Taking a moment here to reflect back on your practice and your meditation. Then we can gently guide the hands in front of heart center, pulling that intention back into the mind one last time before we gently start to open our eyes. Just bringing our gaze to the space just there in front of you for a moment. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.